How many folks here are familiar with TWEN? Almost everyone. Okay, everyone. Okay. So you're not here, and you're hoping not to be bored with the very, very basics and learn a little bit more, and that's what I was intending to do, is kind of talk about the newest developments in TWEN that you don't know about yet, but which you will be the first ones to see, and also a little bit about how some of the functionality can be used. Just so I have a sense of who I'm talking to, how many folks here are professors? Okay. How many librarians? How many tech folks? How many people just saw food and decided to walk in off the street? Okay. Well, you know what TWEN is and the whole concept behind it. As Jevny said, I've been teaching for 25 years, and it seemed to me that the way we teach in law school, for better or for worse, is different than exactly what goes on in undergraduate courses. And so I think it's been very helpful that this program has really been designed in terms of the concept and how things work and what it's intended to do by the two of us, the two law professors, based not only on our own sense, but as we go across the country speaking to people who use it. I've been very happy that the company has been willing to adjust to what the market wants by going to professors and asking them how we can improve it, and it keeps changing all the time, as you know. Anybody who's been with it a long time knows we started actually not even on the internet. We started with something called Lotus Notes, which was 85 diskettes that you had to load. I mean, it was just horrible. And then we slowly evolved to the internet, and I think now we've got it down pretty good, but we always want to improve it. Those of you who are familiar with TWEN will recall this is our present Law School Westlaw homepage, lawschool.westlaw.com. This is the place from which you can enter TWEN or Westlaw. And of course, you don't have to start at this page because you could actually bookmark the direct TWEN or Westlaw page. But Jevny, if you just scroll down a little bit. Scroll down a little bit. Slow. I mean, you see from this page, you can do a little bit of Westlaw research, and you can get to all this other stuff. This is going away, and I'm now going to show you what you're going to see starting in August as the new lawschoolwestlaw.com homepage, and then we'll go from there. This is the new one. You can see what we've done. Just the bars that were on the bottom, the kind of navigation bars, are now at the top. You can still do some basic Westlaw research from here, like over here. You can put a citation in. I don't suppose there's anybody here who has one of those little laser jobbies that I can blind people with. No. You can find it. You can do a key cite. You can do all that sort of stuff here. Very, very basics. But as you know, from there you go into TWEN. And you would have gotten a screen before. Hit the back page. Hit the forward page. Hit the forward. Well, you lost it. Okay. In between, you would have been prompted for your Westlaw password, and then you would get to your TWEN homepage, right? And this has the courses and other things that you've created. My sense is there's no need for me to explain how to create a course on TWEN to this group. You all know about that. Is that right? Right? You want me to get past that. But before we go into it, just to give you, again, a little different look on the page, you see the navigation bar for this page is up on the top. In addition, you have access not only to your courses that you've created, but if you scroll down just slowly, you can populate this page also with our author forums, right? Those are key to all of the casebooks that West End Foundation have published. Not every author, but a huge number of the authors have created these forums which provide a mechanism for professors who are using the book or not to talk with the author or each other about that particular book. I happen to have mine there. Similarly, we have teachers' manuals online from many, many authors of West End Foundation books. And For people like me, for example, I update my teacher's manual throughout the year, so it's accessible online rather than having to wait for the next year's edition. And other professors do some more or less. And then there are these other faculty discussion forums. I only have a few up there. There are a lot of ALS sections now that have discussion forums that are available through TWEN, and you can see a few that I'm involved in. Some specialized groups like the Labor Law Group, which is a bunch of labor law professors. And then the faculty shared experiences. That's a kind of a, like EST for law professors. It's for those people who are using TWEN and want to talk about how good it is, how bad it is, problems, successes. It's just it's a threaded discussion list. Okay, but let's concentrate on the course. And because we have plenty of time, I would encourage you, if you have very specific questions, to interrupt me at any time, whether they're pedagogical questions or technical questions. I, of course, can't answer the technical questions, but Jevni can, and I'll do my best on the others. I'm going to open up a course I created last fall in civil procedure. It's a fall course. And show you a couple of things that have been added this past year and some things that are about to be available for the fall. One of the things that we did, which I liked, those links, the guts of the course, were there this past year, right? And they were there the year before as well. But until this year, they were done alphabetically. And I liked the opportunity to rearrange them in the way I wanted, which was the ones I use the most I put on the top, the ones I don't drop down to the bottom. And now we have this thing called arranged links, which if you click on that, it simply gives you a way, you probably have to scroll down a little bit, of moving them around up and down. I mean, it's not a big deal, but apparently it took them a long time to figure out how to do it. And I thought that was a nice thing. Okay, you can just go back. Okay. Let's just, Okay. How many like the picture of my children? Come on. You can't see it? Why can't you?
Too small.
You're too small or the picture's too small?
The picture's too small.
Oh, well, you ought to make it bigger.
You're too far back.
Ah, okay.
Does that slow down the time it takes for the students to open up the page if they're operating on a phone line that isn't?
What happens, frankly, is it doesn't slow it down at all. They get the rest of it, and eventually they get the picture if they come to this page. Now, I never go to this page because I have plenty of other pictures of my kids there, and I don't think my students typically go to this page because I don't put stuff on it. I mean, I could change the text from time to time, but there are other ways of providing more immediate text. So I doubt that they go to the home page that often. Yes?
The kids are cute, but why are they there?
Why are they there?
Yeah, as a matter of design, why did you decide to put a picture of your kids on your civil procedure page?
The truthful answer is, we created the option for anybody to put any kind of GIF they wanted there. I don't know if it's GIF or JPEG, but whichever. I don't know the difference. But frankly, the reason I did it is because it was an attempt on my part, obviously misconceived, to attempt to humanize myself. I mean, and that's a very large task in my case, to the students, because they can't imagine, first of all, anyone would ever have sex with me, or that I could be a parent. So I did it. And believe it or not, the two on the right are twins. I mean, you don't want me to tell.
Cute, they really are.
Thank you.
Top-notch kids.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe we should move on. What do you? No, let's not put that to a vote. Let's open up discussion forum just to show you a couple of new things that again took a long time developing, but I think are really helpful. I mean, you know about I'll show you a little about the posting, but just the way that I wanted very much to be able to very quickly see on a daily basis if there was anything new that I hadn't read yet. And before, we used to have this thing that said new, but it was a lie. I mean, West was lying to you. It was the only time. New meant it had been there in the last 24 hours. But that's not really what you and I want to know. You and I want to know whether we've read it or we haven't yet read it. And now it finally works. Well, you see these little envelope thingies. They all have been read. R-E-A-D, because they're opened. If they hadn't been read, you wouldn't see the little paper coming out of the envelope. It would be closed. And so you're asking, well, why is one the color red and all the others are green? And I think the answer is, as I recall, that's the one that I looked at the most recently, right? Because I probably opened this yesterday when I was doing a demo. So I don't know why that's of help to anybody, but if you want to know which is the one you've looked at most recently, there it is. There used to be, and sometimes I can't remember. Jevney, is there a page where I can go to before this to see whether there's been anything new posted on discussion forum?
Well, back on your...
on my civil procedure homepage?
On the homepage, see in this one there's something new.
Ah, okay. Okay. Now, does that new mean unread? See, finally we got that. So you can go to your TWEN homepage. Obviously, since this was a fall course, it's now inactive, so obviously I don't have any new postings. But I can just go there and very quickly see if there's anything new. And now new really means new. It means unread.
Can you get, I've had the same problem, can you get to the new thing? Now, knowing there's a new one somewhere in a lengthy thread of the whole semester, drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Because the student could have put it on in relation to a thread a month ago.
Right. Good question. That is, in fact, if we open up civil procedure again, Jevney, just... So, yeah, open that up, and open up discussion forum. If you're lucky like I am, and the students use this a lot, if you just scroll down, you can see that you can have a very lengthy thing. So where's the new one? Now, the short answer is, on that front page that I showed you before, it'll tell you, will it tell you that which forum the new yeah, it'll tell you it's in discussion forum as opposed to some other forum, but it still hasn't answered your question, where among these 6 million things? Okay. The answer is it won't, you have to look. But there is one way of moderating that problem. When my list gets too long, because I don't like scrolling, who does? Then what I will do is I will archive a whole bunch of these postings and put them in an archive. And then, which is a very simple thing, I won't waste your time doing it, but then when you go to enter archive, up on the top right, enter archive, that'll take you to where all that stuff is. It doesn't go away, it just takes it off that page, and so it makes the page fresh. And so every couple of weeks, when it gets too long, I put stuff in the archive, and so this page becomes easier to navigate. But it's a very good point, and I had never thought about it before, and maybe it's something we ought to think about, as to whether or not we can click directly to the new posting. That's a very good idea, yes.
One thing, too, if this were sorted by...
Right.
By date.
Right.
The very last thing.
Right. See, I don't, yeah.
He's sorted by category.
You see, what I've done is I create categories, which you can do, and you can add them and subtract them, because I like to students kind of put them in a subject area. Other people like to do it this way. I don't like to do it this way because you lose the context. You don't know which is a response to what. You lose the threaded nature of it. So I think the best answer would be, because I like to sort by category. Put it by category, please. I like to sort by category. What I'd like to see if we can do, and I appreciate that input, and that's the kind of input we need, I want to see if we can get to, with the engineers the next time I'm up there in July, and see if we can get them to get to the new thing, pop right on the thing that's unread.
Because they know it's there.
Can you sort by category within, can you sort by date within a...
No. No. You can only, yes?
One of the new features that we're going to have is the ability to choose to have an email sent to you every day when there's a new posting. And when that email comes to you, there will be a link to the new posting.
Well, that we can, when you post, as opposed to when they post, if we go to post a message, and there's something new here too, and so while I'm doing that, I might as well show you. Big improvement here. There's always been two ways to post. Stop. Scroll up just a little bit. Stop. Not too much. Good. First of all, you have to decide whether you want the students to post anonymously or not. I do, and I've explained why that is. Some people like to, some people don't. You have the option. You can also remove the option so that the students don't have the option to post anonymously, or you can give them the option. So they post, they choose the category they want, just hit the drop-down list so that they just get an of category. Yeah, and again, you can continually add or subtract from this throughout the semester, and I'll show you where you would do that. We'll close that. Close the drop-down list. You type the title, and then one way the students, and typically the way students post, is they type what I call type on the fly. They just type da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But as you know, for those of you who use it, it was very difficult in this box to do any formatting. You had to do all kinds of caretting and letters. It was a pain, and we struggled with this for the longest time. Finally, this now looks like Microsoft Word, at least what I'm familiar with Microsoft Word, so that you can, within this box, do the colors, do the formatting, do the italics, do the bold, do it all right there, do the indenting, the centering, all of that kind of stuff, the cutting and pasting, the small caps, all, change the font size, the font type. And then, however you create it here, and typically that's what students do, including color, then just scroll down a little bit. Close that box, please. Good, stop. Then when they submit it, or if they're risk averse, they hit preview. Students don't do that to see what it's going to look like before it goes up. They hit submit. However you formatted it in that box, that's going to hold 1,000%. It's going to be exactly however it looks in the box. Okay? Because, and I'll use some jargon that I don't understand, but I think it's the right jargon. What you've done is created something in HTML right up front, so that when you read it, you don't have to convert it to anything. So just to get, and I'm getting back now to the answer to your question. If you're the one who's posting, and again, you can also post either that way, or typically the way professors do it in a more sophisticated way, is you've got some other kind of a thing that you've created in a word processing document, or a PowerPoint, or some other kind of application. And so you simply search your hard drive for that thing and you bring it in. In fact, do you have something you want to upload? Just to give you an idea of how this works. Just put it in there. Okay, don't do anything yet. Okay, just scroll down a little bit. Don't submit it yet. You know that if you click on this, as it is now clicked, it's going to take that file, flip it into HTML so it can be read directly from the browser, and you're going to see it in HTML. Now, obviously, if you create it in Microsoft Word or a spreadsheet or PowerPoint or a WAV file or whatever other thing it is, it's got to be changed from that thing. I don't know what the right word is, so I'm just saying thing because I'm not a technical person. That thing into HTML. And obviously what West has done is they've bought from the companies that do this conversion all their conversion tables to change Word into HTML and PowerPoint and all that other stuff. And so our ability to convert into HTML and to retain formatting, which is the question you all want to know about, is limited to the power of those conversion programs which West doesn't create, which they buy from the people who make them. Some are better than others. Some things convert very well, some things convert not perfectly. If you click on the ICU, I'll get to you in a second. If you click on this, then what happens is your thing is converted to HTML and it comes out in a readable form. And again, some formatting is lost, some formatting is not lost, depending on the nature of the application and the quality of the conversion program that West has bought. But whether you do this or not, it will also attach that document to the posting. So that if, for example, you don't like the way it's converted, a student could then click on, it'll have the name of the posting in blue and underlined. They click on that. If they want to, they'll then have to download that document and then put it in the application that they have on their hard drive. Obviously, that's limiting because you have to make sure the students have the application as needed, and it's a kind of a pain in the butt. But nobody has yet, that I'm aware of, and believe me, if there was a company out there that had done it, West would have probably bought them or somehow bought the property, the right, the license to use it. They've got the best conversion there is, but conversion isn't perfect yet. But finally, to answer your question a little bit, when a faculty member posts, as opposed to when a student posts, students don't have this option. We don't think, we could make it available, we don't think it's a good idea. If you click here, then as soon as you post, every student who's registered for your course gets an email which says, Professor Friedman has just submitted a new posting in the discussion forum in his civil procedure course. If you want to get to it, click here, and it opens up TWEN, it opens up Friedman civil procedure, it opens up discussion forum, and it takes you directly to that posting. So, if we can do that, why can't we do what you're suggesting? And of course I don't know the answer, but it's worth mentioning. That was a long, torturous, undoubtedly worthless response.
Well, the same workaround that I did last year is simply switch the order and have it listed by date. And then you've got
Yeah, but then you don't have it threaded.
Right. But
Well,
you
you
can find the newest ones, then you can
Find the
switch it
newest
back.
one, see what it is, then go back to
Right.
the
There you go. There you go.
But really, Joel, it will be in for fall.
What will be in for fall?
Okay, if you go to modify course here, or when you set up a course, if you go to modify course information here, we've got some new email options, and one of them here is, see right here, is receive daily notification of forum postings.
Who receives?
You do. The professor does, okay?
So you're creating an email group
You would, well, this is
for
so
email
that,
service to NSTP?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Are you creating email service?
Yeah, well, no, the email service is whatever email address you have, it goes through that email, okay? Because whenever you register, you put in your email address, and that's the email it'll go to. So
So if student number 1 posts to my discussion forum, what do I get?
you get nothing unless you check this.
And if I check that, what do I get?
Once a day, only on days where you have, someone is posted in your class. At the end of
Including religious holidays? Because, you know, we
Right.
Jews, we have lots of religious
Right.
holidays.
Right.
Is it also called a religious holiday?
if somebody posts
Okay,
on that
okay.
day, you will get an email, and it will have a link to where the posting is.
To each individual email. Huh, how about that?
Will students get that?
No, the students only get the one where you choose to send it out to the students that you put posted in.
This option will not be seen by students, is the answer to your question.
So if the students post to the list, the other students don't get tickled and they need to go to the website?
Correct. They have to go and check and see if they see the new flag.
What if you prefer that they get tickled because it requires them to remember periodically to go to the web and check, and the tickler guarantees they'll know to go?
We haven't developed that yet, but we can put it on our list of things that,
It's interesting. I mean, cultures and experiences are different. As I mentioned to the group yesterday, in my experience, in my courses over all of the 6 or 7 years that I've been doing it, on the average, and I can only speak about averages, every student in my class, and I make TWEN 100% optional. They don't even have to register. Now, it turns out 100% of them do, but not because I tell them to do it. It's totally optional. I don't give any credit for doing it, reading, nothing. On the average, when you add up all the postings, divide by the days, etc., etc., etc. On the average, every student in my class looks at TWEN 2 times per day. Every day. 7 days a week. So I don't have that problem. And right now we felt like we didn't want to bombard the law school's email servers with emails to all the students every day about postings that other students were making. That's been a judgment call so far on our part. If we find from speaking to you and others that actually would be beneficial to do it, my guess is we would do it.
I guess my thought is that a law school that had that objection, I would give perhaps create an option. Remember, I want my course to allow students to take a lot of students.
Fair enough. Yeah, well, that's fair.
Well, our current conferencing software, which is in the right quarter, or was in the right quarter, offers that across the board. The professor has the option of creating a mailing list or not. What I found in working with them is that about half of them, for their seminars, use that. For classes that are mandatory classes, they don't, because they want the student make it a habit to go to the discussion.
Yeah.
A lot of, well, some professors, quite a few of them use it.
Yeah.
So that the student knows that something is happening.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a kind of a choice. My sense of this is that I felt like TWEN ought to be separate from just your standard law school email service. There was very little reason to duplicate a whole lot in TWEN of what you do in email, although we do to a certain degree. If you scroll up again a little bit, Jevny, on the left side you'll see email options, and maybe this relates to what you're talking about, so it would be a good minute for me to talk about it. If you click on that, when a student enrolls in TWEN at the beginning of the semester, which simply means they put in their Westlaw password, and then we know who they are, and then they get the list of courses from your school that are on TWEN, and they click whichever courses they want, and they're in. And that generates for each course a list of students who've registered with their email address, because that's the other thing we ask them to put in is their email address. So then in your course, you have the names of all the students, and if you want to, we're not going to go through the whole detail, you can create mini distribution groups like you do with your email system. So for example, if you're in a course where students, for example, are working in teams, and you want to send information to Team X, which is, students 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can do all of that. It's redundant of your own email system, but there were people who felt it was important. I was one, in fact, who thought it wasn't important, but there were enough faculty members who thought it was that we did it. And so it's available there. If we can go back to where I was doing the posting, just click back, go back, yeah. So I showed you this thing. Let's go and browse it again. I just want to show you, let's find your document, whatever that is, syllabus document. Okay, and now we're going to send it. This was obviously, I can tell, it's not my document, WPD, it must have been done on WordPerfect.
It's Steve Nichols' document.
Yeah, now you have to find it.
Oh, I didn't post it in a category, did I? Did we have a category? Where is it?
Yeah, it's right.
Right above Friedman's form, it's the top one.
It's,
WW?
is it WW?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's what they showed.
22.
Open this.
Which one? Oh,
I don't think this is it, but
No.
what title did you call it, Jevny? Did you not pay
I
attention?
didn't put a title in, that's why I've got to go.
You did before.
Oh, did I? Okay, yeah, there it is.
Okay.
There it is.
So, now why it had a red opened window, I don't know. It shouldn't have been opened since we'd never used it before. I don't know why that happened.
Well, yeah, I think it's different when you post it on your own versus when somebody posts to you.
Oh, that
Then
makes
it's
sense.
closed because
Okay.
you haven't opened it.
Okay. So then this is just a textual thing that he created in WordPerfect, and you can see it didn't take very long. Of course, it's not a very heavy document. It doesn't have it doesn't have any images on it. Yes, sir.
And you don't yet have a spell check in your...
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. New. Let's go back. Hit back, please. Back. Where's this?
Okay, the spell check, okay.
No. Right here.
Where is it? I don't know which one.
The next one.
Next one.
There it is. But, okay. Now, it's only for what you type in the box.
Yeah.
But that's something brand new. Spell check. If you like spell check, so there you are. Okay? Okay, scroll up, please.
The students have that too, hopefully?
Yeah. Yeah, will they use it? That's a totally different question.
You knock them down if they don't.
I could show you how I use the other forms, but I don't think you're probably interested in that. Yes.
Is there a way that we can separate the categories in the discussion forum into different pages, or it's going to be in one long?
No, it's in one page. But if you go to scroll down, please, modify course. Since you asked. Modify course is all the kinds of things you can do once you've got, how you can reconfigure it, right? And if we go to this, something here, I'm sure, for forms. Create, modify forms, okay? So, for example, this is just don't do anything. The discussion forum has various things. Now, if I wanted to change the categories, and click on that for a second, you can scroll down, please. You can add slowly. You can add. You can delete. You can rename one, and then you can change the order in which they are on the. Okay.
Plan in the future that you will make it an option so that all the messages in one category will be displayed on just one page only.
I don't know. You're the first person that's ever suggested that, but maybe you won't be the last. My sense is most faculty want as much on one screen as they can see. They don't want to have to keep scrolling. And I think students probably would prefer not to have to go page by page for every single category because, I mean, you can see how many categories I have. If that then forced me to go through 12 or 15 different pages, probably I think most people wouldn't like that, but we'll see. I mean, it's an interesting question. If you scroll up a little bit, please. Just hit the back button. Okay. Sort postings is also new. Let's click on that. Ordinarily, the only way you can sort out those postings is, as you saw, one was sort by category, one was sort by name, one was sort by date. But now we've made it more configurable. Jesney, you want to talk a little bit about this?
Well, these
Here's
postings,
just the list.
You can move up,
Yeah.
you can move down, you can move this one to the top, you can move this one to the bottom. You can
Is that within a category, or this is just total from top to bottom?
That's just total top to bottom of all the postings.
Apparently somebody wanted this, or not one person, we wouldn't do it for one person. A bunch of people thought it would be helpful once postings were made that the professor only could rearrange them. So we gave this option. Just so you'll know that it's there. Back page, please. Hit it again. Okay. Archive, I mentioned, delete, share. I assume you know that when you create a course, one of the things you can do, one of the things that I've found very successful, is to add to my course participants who are not students in my course. I've done that a couple of ways. I've linked my section of civil procedure with another guy's section of civil procedure at Tulane. I've linked it with somebody who taught civil procedure at another law school in the United States. I can link it with anybody because it's all on the internet. I also will bring in professional observers, judges and lawyers, and they will be a part of my course because either they have a Westlaw password or we will give them one free for this purpose. And bringing in judges or lawyers is very interesting for the students for two reasons. One, the most obvious reason is if they have a professor like me who's never practiced law in his life, it gives them a sense that they're hearing something about the way the real world is in whatever the subject is. And particularly when I used to teach evidence, that was particularly helpful since I had never, been in a courtroom, and it still happened. But in addition, maybe not surprisingly, the students find this is a very good networking opportunity. Even though I ask them to post anonymously, somehow they feel like they have an entree to this person, and I don't know whether anything has ever happened, any shit made or anything like that, but they mostly like the idea that there's somebody out there with real-world experience that can respond. And for example, I'll have a federal district judge in New Orleans who's in my civil procedure class, which is very helpful. I have a bunch of lawyers in my employment discrimination class. Steve Nichols, my colleague who's at Wake Forest, has a lot of bankruptcy judges in his bankruptcy class. So you can imagine the opportunities, and the judges, in my experience, also like it. They just like to be a part of it. Something that's brand new that I'd like to show you. Can you scroll down a little bit? Let's see where it is. Yeah, you don't have to scroll down anymore. If you go, the very last link is something brand new which I want to spend a little bit of time on. That's called live discussion. Before you click on it, it's too late. That's all right. Just leave it. we got a lot of feedback from faculty members that they wanted to have a chat room in their course for the students. But not a chat, not a 24-hour-a-day, chat about, life, but related to the course, controlled by the professor. And by controlled by the professor, I mean the timing availability of the chat, controlled by the professor. But I'm actually going to show you how this works, because hopefully we have somebody out in there in Minnesota who's a part of this. And what you do is, I won't waste your time in how you just hit create live discussion entry, and that would ask you to set up the day and the time that you want this chat thing to be available. So we've created one for this time period right here. It's got my name on it, CALI discussion. And so you'd have to go to that page and you tell the students, this is the time, and so they open that up. Nobody's ever seen this before, including me. Never seen it work, that is. And this will be available for this fall semester coming up. Unfortunately, the resolution of the page is such that it's too big, so you can't see the whole page here. But here's where we're posting. It's your typical chat thing, right? I mean, I know you all are on chat, and those pornographic things, and you post. And these folks, this one is in Minnesota, this one is not, this one is in Minnesota, he's sick in Boston. And so I posted, and there's my thing. And now we want to, you know how these things work. And now I want to see if there's anybody in Minnesota who's going to respond. Of course, I'm not sure these people know how to type, so that's part of the problem. But let's just wait and see. I don't know how useful this will be. I don't know how many professors will make use of this. Everybody talks about, well, I'm out on the road or giving a lecture, and I could actually have my class in part while I'm on the road. Everybody goes to their machines, and that's obviously one of the things this is useful for. But obviously we had enough people ask for it that we decided to do it. I'm skeptical right now about whether there'll be... Would anybody use this thing? Yeah.
Monica's there from Minnesota.
Karen, you're going to use it?
I think I would use it. I think
what day exactly will you use it?
Well, I'll tell you. I'll send you an email.
Okay.
No, I think I would say to the students, okay, I know there's a lot of confusion about the, removal. So tonight, anybody who wants to, from 7 to 8, I'll hold the chat conference.
Like Larry King, you'll be online.
You can ask questions. We'll go back and forth. And,
that's pretty cool. You would do that for your students, 9 o'clock at night?
Die for my students, right?
Karen Blum, Suffolk University Law School. Anybody who wants to have their kid have a really good education, send them here. She's a great teacher. No, that's
No, I wouldn't do that.
good for you. Yes, ma'am.
Can you store the contents of the chat?
Can you?
Store, save.
Oh, can you store?
You can get a transcript somehow. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but there's Justin. He can tell you.
This is Justin Hummel, the soon-to-be, I know. He's actually, believe it or not, it's pathetic. He's the manager of TWEN. He's the head guy for all of TWEN, and he's sick to his stomach because he ate some of your raw seafood here in Massachusetts.
Who's yelling at him?
Transcript.
Can you store...
Yeah, once the session is over, where the chat line appears, the title, there's a line next to that that says transcript. Click on that, it'll send you the email if you want it that way. You can load it as an HTML document, text document. So there's a variety of ways that you can get it.
Now that Karen mentioned it, I would not give up as much of my time as she would. But where I might use it is I've always been frustrated by, it's an informal thing at Tulane, but particularly for first-year students, we always have a course review session. After the semester is over, before the exam, I go in there, it's like Meet the Press. I stay there for 3 hours and they just bombard me with questions and they walk out more confused than they, But this could be an alternative. I could be staying in my house, lying in my bed, answering those very same, and they could be doing the same, which has all sorts of possibilities for them. But that I would be prepared to do, and that would be just as effective because it's pretty fast. So for an exam review class, that would be a pretty good idea, I have to say.
Office hours.
Oh, yeah, office. Well, yeah, but office hours they could do on an individual basis anyway by just sending me an email. The beauty of this is the idea is that you got a whole lot of people all online at exactly the same time. doing, like, messaging. That's what this is. Yeah, Karen.
I have to confess, I've never participated in a chat group, so how does
Right. We all believe that.
how does it work? I mean, it's suppose 16 students are trying to say something at the same time. Do they queue up and the messages just come on?
They just come in order that they're posted. Order
Version 1 is not having a moderated chat in that.
Louder, Justin.
With some chat systems, you have a moderator who has to sit there and facilitate the interaction between the students and the faculty members. So one person is in charge of receiving all the messages and then clearing those through. So it's kind of the gatekeeper. Well, that could be a lot of work for the moderators. Version 1, we're doing it en masse, so as it gets up there, it's there. It can be a little discombobulating to follow the stream there, because a question which is asked here can be answered here, and so on and so forth. So version 1 is not going to be controlled. Another version 2 will have a moderator.
But this will be available
For the fall.
for the fall in August sometime.
August 14th.
August 14th, there you go. Okay, I think we can get out of that now. And I learned something. Thank you, Karen. And that's really, now, that's probably why they decided to do it, because for that sort of use. Okay, can we get out of that?
I'm just going to leave a message that we're leaving.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in while we're waiting foolishly for this? No.
Hi.
Yes, sir.
Just a question for Justin. You were mentioning version 2 just a minute ago. When you said that it would be available in August, was that version 1 or version 1? Version 1 will be available. Do you have a time frame for version 2?
That depends on a lot of...
August 15th.
We're hoping for the fall. I don't have a date.
Okay, thanks.
Was it something that we available in
July, this will be available on the beta site. Yeah, so
July?
that's lawschoolbeta.westlaw.com. If you're interested in having it, you need to let us know. You can email Debbie or I, or call the 800 number if you're not ready.
Or certainly, if you have access to your rep, they can also do that. Yes, ma'am.
Question about browsers that Monica just asked. Is Explorer or Netscape better for Westlaw and TWEN, and is 6 or 6.1 Netscape equally good?
My experience, he'll give you the scientific answer. My experience is, I don't know why, that IE is better. Is that, yes?
IE, hands down, is much better. I don't know if anybody's downloaded and used 6 or Netscape, but
Louder.
Any system you go to, Netscape 6.0 pulls up a number of programs to work with. So I would stay away from the higher end. 475, that's pretty sturdy. That's nice.
What about 6.1, which is now good?
I haven't tried 6.1 Netscape, but 5.0 and 5.0 IE are pretty solid. And some of the newer features for TWEN only work with IE, like the HTML editor. That's an Internet Explorer only feature. Netscape can't handle it.
Yeah, thank you for asking the question. You mean that's the stuff when you're typing on the fly and you want to do all that formatting? Can't do that on Netscape. Got to be part of the Bill Gates empire.
You only get the regular text box.
When you want to go back and edit a document that's already
Something
posted.
is better. Will you stay when you come full version 1?
Yep, it goes right into.
Yes, ma'am.
Since we're in an interim, you were talking about sharing, and
Hit the back button.
a question and a comment. I've just had
Again.
an experience with an NYU professor who was trying to get access to
Again.
the board of professors page, and the board of
Again.
professor had no objection, but nobody in Westlaw could figure
Good.
out how to tell her to do it. So she started with Westlaw. The Westlaw rep came to me to get a student password. I said, why do we have to do that? At which point I told the board of professors secretary to just, add the person as a guest on the class, and that should work. Well, she did that. It hasn't worked. The NYU professor called me back beginning of this week saying, isn't it supposed to show up on my list of available
Right.
classes? And I said, I think so. Yes?
Yeah, if you add person just finish
That's
the appear directly. on
As
Slido.
an option. Yeah, okay. Well, okay, so I'm not wrong there.
You know what I would suggest?
Yeah.
Seriously, get his card.
No, I have it.
Give it to the professor.
I
Have
like
him-
to try and work through channels here.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. If you have a professor with a problem, send them to me directly or to Justin directly, and we will deal with it.
Here. Okay.
No, I'm serious. I mean, we want to provide, no, don't pussyfoot around.
Okay.
We're available. I'm making Justin available.
Since the server is hosted at the West
Yes,
End,
yes.
do you provide support to students? We just mentioned professors, right?
Oh, yeah,
Technical support.
of course.
So you have
We've
a
got a
toll-free
separate
number?
line though that comes into Jeffy and myself for faculty only, just because of the large amount of student usage on when we've got larger staff that can handle their needs.
So do you have a different number for students?
Yeah.
And one number for the faculty?
Yeah.
This is being used at 150 law schools. TWEN is now simply one other component of Westlaw. And so if the student wants help on Westlaw, TWEN, they dial the Westlaw 800 number, right? The same customer service number. They may end up with a specialist in TWEN, but it's the same thing. For faculty members, we have a special arrangement with Jevny and Justin. The other thing, yes?
Continue.
Well, I want to show one other thing, quizzes. There's been a little bit of change in quizzes. And again, this has been pretty much in response to the demand by our faculty users. As I said yesterday, unfortunately, all we can do is objective questions now. We haven't yet figured out how to answer an essay exam. That would be a dream. But you create a quiz by clicking on that, and it's kind of the obvious thing. But what's new on this, which I think is very helpful, is the kind of feedback you can give to the students when they choose a particular answer. And I don't know, Jeffney, how you get to that page, but you do. That is, suppose you give a multiple choice question, la-da-da-da-da, A, B, C, D are the answers, right? And then the student's going to pick A, B, C, or D. When they get, that's good enough, stop, scroll down. We're not going to post anything. Here's where your answers are, okay? Or the feedback that they're going to get when they choose one of these answers. Now, you could simply get a response, correct answer or incorrect answer, or if you want to give them more helpful feedback, you can scroll up, please. You can type up whatever you want. For example, A, you could put, A is the wrong answer because la-di-da, 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 or, or you can humiliate them in some fashion, which also has certain advantages. But you can do whatever you want for A, B, C, and D, and you can tailor the feedback they get, which I think is a nice advantage, so that it makes it slightly more interactive. I mean, we haven't been able to do more than this at this time. Hopefully we will, but apparently quizzing is a thing that there's been a lot of demand for in the marketplace, and so again, we've tried to accommodate that. If you scroll up, hit the back page. Yes.
I got a sort of question.
Yeah.
On the explanation there.
Yes.
Is it going to be an explanation of the whole answer in terms of A, B, C, or is it specific to A? Like, A is the wrong answer because that contradicts.
Yes. Well, whatever you type in the A box.
Well, is that that's the actual text of my answer, right?
It's actually the explanation box at the bottom is generic, so it would apply to everybody's going to
So
see.
you do everything at one.
Oh, I see.
The text box is for A, B, C, D, E.
Can I see that? Next refinement needs to be when you hit A.
Right.
You come up.
It should be what I said it was.
This is what, yeah,
right.
that's
Right.
what it should be.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's actually just the answer they're going to see as the choice for A. Yeah, I think it would be helpful if we could have feedback separate for A, B, C, and D, as opposed to a generic one. I agree. And version 2. Okay. Can you scroll up and then hit the back page? But thank you. I don't use quizzing. So. Okay. Go back a page. Good. For those of you on the compulsive end of the scale who want to create all your quizzes at the beginning of the semester and you don't want the students to see them until later, we have this thing about show hide. So you can hide one quiz or 2 or 3 or 4. So, I mean, they're up there already, but the students can't see it until you put show there. And that's basically the quizzing function.
One other question. Is there? Do you have to customize the entry of the test? Is there any way that, I mean, I have a sample exam that's in WordPerfect. Do I have to have a secretary retype that entire exam
you want to have it interactive like this one. Otherwise, if you just want to have it all available as a text file, you can upload it.
Yeah. Or you could do what I do, for example. If you click on practice problems, that's another form that I've created. And what I do is at different points in the semester, I create a problem. The very, very first posting is, just go up to the very first posting. That's a problem. Click on it. It's a very short, I don't remember what subject it is, but it's some subject in civil procedure. Very short mini question. Okay, hit back button. So I post that, and then I tell the students, if you want to, totally optional, post an answer. And they all post answers. And I promise everyone who posts an answer, I will post my critique. Then every student sees my question, every student sees every other student's answer, and every student sees my critique of every student's answer, which actually they like. And since I ask my students to do everything anonymously, they don't feel threatened by the fact that everybody will see their answer and my critique of their answer, because nobody knows it's their answer except them, those that can remember that they actually posted something after they posted it. And as I said, if you scroll down, just for the fun of it, it's just kind of an interesting display of student interest. As you can see, the first problem had a small number, second a little bit larger, third a little bit larger, but I had 80 students in the class. And still I don't think more than 10, 15, maybe 20 actually posted. And initially that surprised me. I mean, why aren't more doing this? I mean, they begged for this. I mean, you know, this is a course, it's a one-semester course, final exam is 100% of the final grade, no nothing else. First semester, they don't know anything, bop, 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 bop. They all love this thing, they tell me they love it, yet 80 out of 80 don't do it. Why is that? And as they've explained to me, they believe they can learn passively. They can read everybody else's answers. They said, well, I mean, I read everybody else's answers, and I saw which ones were lousy, and which were good, and which were great, and which you got excited about, which you were, so I got it. Now, I don't know whether, in fact, they can learn passively like that about this sort of thing. I would have thought the actual writing of the answer is part of the exercise that I'm trying to provide them opportunity to have. Some do, some don't. Some of the answers are better. Sometimes, I don't know if I have an example here, they'll post their answer, I'll post my critique, and then they'll try again. And then I'll critique that one. It doesn't take me long. Their answers are short. You know, it takes me 2 or 3 minutes to read their answer and question, and they really like that. So, a long-winded response to your question, if you want to do it that way, then there's no problem. And that's really interactive in a sense, because they get the opportunity to actually write an answer as opposed to just check A, B, C, and D, and they get me to give them a critique of their answer. This is, from my students' point of view, from what they tell me, a highly satisfying experience. But as you can see from the discussion forum with the hundreds of postings I have, and the fact that I make it totally voluntary, they must feel that that's worthwhile, or they wouldn't do it. Because the other thing we started with this year is, you notice that in this practice problems forum and my discussion forum, it's your typical threaded listserv in the sense that all you see on the first page is a list of the titles of all of the postings. Then you have to do the other click to get to the text of the posting, And a lot of people said, I don't want to do that extra click. Can you create a form where I can see immediately the text? And so we've created these document pages, which is just another word for form. And one of them, for example, is my course introduction. And if you open up that, and I named it that, you could name it whatever you want. You actually open it up, you don't get a listing of the things you've quoted. You get the first one right up front, and if you could just scroll down all the way. If I had posted more to this, you'd see little icons over here, like, you know, those little word icons that would have the other documents, and if you clicked on that, it would open them up. But some people, for example, who create a one-document form like syllabus, like I don't know, course materials, then that's it. They see the whole thing there. Professor Nichols from Wake Forest, who's sitting over here, has his whole course in bankruptcy up in TWEN, and you get to the page and you see the whole outline with the embedded links to the cases and all that, because you all understand how when you post, I mean, you all know about this, you can, with no effort at all, create hypertext links to anything that's in Westlaw simply by typing the site, nothing else. When you send it up to Westlaw, they HTMLize it, and they make this into blue and underline. You can also create, click on here, links to anything on the web just by knowing the URL. But you all knew that.
I have a question about how you do this, your practice problems.
Yeah.
From a teaching point of view.
Yeah.
You have them on your TWEN site.
Yes.
And people post their answers.
Correct.
Comment on them.
Correct.
Then do you also discuss them in class, or do you have a different set of hypotheticals that you're using? I mean, what's the relationship between?
It's the latter, totally different. This is all supplemental. This is all supplemental. The difference between this and discussing a hypo in class is the act of writing. It may not seem like much to you, but for first semester, first year students, to have the opportunity to not just to think about it and to articulate it, but to write it down, even if it's only 8 or 10 sentences, within a limited time frame, which is of course what an exam is, they find that that's different from answering a question in class. And so I try to give them that experience. That's the difference. But no, I don't discuss these problems in class. I have different problems in class. Is that responsive to your question?
Yes, why do you choose to have different problems? I mean, I understand your answer so far, but what's the thinking behind it? Why not? I'm imagining that my students would want to have some class discussion to follow up.
Well, I just haven't had that experience. If the students wanted to, I assume they would have asked me, and I guess my questions on this are so circumscribed, as opposed to the ones I ask in class, which are a little bit more detailed. And their response is so specific, and my critique is so specific, I guess maybe they don't feel like, when they've read my critique for them and for all the others, that they're done. Everything that I do, and people use TWEN differently. I don't use TWEN in class. I don't have a computer in class. I don't project anything. A lot of people do it differently. This is 99% for me supplemental to what goes on in class, and it's, for me again, purely optional. I do it for them to see if it's helpful to them. Yes, sir?
On a daily, weekly, semester basis, how much time are you involved?
Good question.
Variation or another.
Good question. How much time do I spend on this since, can you close that little box, please? Go into the discussion forum. I'm answering your question. You'll see that in the discussion forum, almost all of the postings, though not all, are anonymous. You see very few by me, because I tell the students this is basically for you to talk amongst yourselves about things that come up in class, things that I might ask at the end of class for the next class. Now, I do read these things, okay? And obviously, I also contribute on the practice problems. I would say that on the average, I would spend per day, I would guess about 10 minutes a day. I can tell you this, I have never spent in any one day, in the years that I've been doing this, more than 25 minutes. Now, there's a plus and a minus to that, depending on who you are. While it has increased the number of students who will participate in my class because they feel empowered by having done it in class, on this anonymously, it has also reduced the amount of contact I have with students in my office privately because they use this mechanism. Now, for me, that's pretty much more of a plus than it is a minus, because I have other things I need to do, and it just helps me manage my time better. I suppose if it completely reduced my contact and that nobody would ever come to see me, then I suppose it would get to the point of minus. But for some people, one less student who comes to see them is a minus, and that's fair. It's not for me. But it has definitely reduced the amount of students who come to my office on a continuing basis. And you have to decide for yourself whether that's a plus or a minus. My time is up, so I thank you very much, and we'll be around here to answer questions if you need us. Thank you.